And we have our NBA champ, Rip Hamilton, joining us here on HQ to talk KD and some other news around the association. But let's start with Kevin Durant. Just saw the video rolling his ankle. He's getting an MRI this week. And KD has already dealt with his fair share of injuries, right? We had the MCL injury earlier this season. He's missing 20 games. Just something that you hate to see for KD, Rip.
Yeah, Jacqueline, that's one of them freak things that you never expect to happen, especially in pregame warm-up with nobody around. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. And I know KD is very mentally frustrated right now, just knowing that he's been dealing with injuries all season long. And to go out like that, especially with nobody guarding you, nobody around you, and you're just going to the basket for like an easy dunk, and to go down with an ankle sprain is very tough. Hopefully it's not as serious as it looked, because it seemed like his ankle hit the ground when he actually turned it. But like you said, Devin Booker did an excellent job of really stepping up. That's the one thing that the Phoenix Suns have the luxury of, having another go-to guy that can go out there and carry their team to victory. But they can't win no big playoff games without KD out on the floor.
Yeah, that video just kind of makes you cringe when you watch it. We got to talk about Fred VanVleet and his comments after the Raptors lost to the Clippers. It was a close game, and he was called for a technical by referee Ben Taylor. That's his 8th tech of the year, and 3 of those have come from Taylor. So VanVleet he's fed up about it. He's letting everybody know. We have the sound. We're gonna play it, Rip.
I mean, I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought, Ben Taylor was terrible tonight. I thought that on most nights, a couple of out of the 3, there's 1 or 2 that just the game up, and it's been like that a couple games in a row. Denver was tough, obviously. You come out tonight, you're competing pretty hard. The third quarter, I get a tech, changes the whole dynamic of the game, changes the whole flow of the game. And, most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs are trying hard. They're pretty fair. They communicate well. And then you got the other ones who just want to be and just kind of the game up. Nobody's coming to see that. They come to see the players. And I think we're losing a little bit of the fabric of what the NBA is and was. And it's been disappointing this season. You could look up, most of my texts this year have been with Ben Taylor officiating. So at a certain point as a player, you feel it's personal.
He did not mince words. A lot of bleeps that we're hearing there. Rip, what do you make of those comments?
Well, first of all, when watching it, he was probably the most calmest, disgruntled player/worker I ever seen in my life. I think I would have been up there throwing stat sheets, throwing Gatorade bottles and everything else. But they're going to fine him. It's going to be a pretty big fine. But I do agree with him. One, because I know my last couple of years in the league when playing, I felt as though a lot of the veteran referees were starting to retire. The guys like the Steve Javies, guys that been around the league for a long time, that understand situation and understands that it is a players' league, and the fans do come to watch the players and not the referees. And now you got a lot of new referees and young referees that sometimes these players can't even come and talk to, because they got a big ego, which they really haven't done a whole lot in the league. So I do agree with him that, hey, you got to let the players dictate the game. And sometimes, like he said, like he alluded to early in the game, he got an early technical, and that kind of changed the whole momentum of the game. But sometimes the referees got to have a thicker skin. Yes, they got the hardest job in the game. Yes, it's hard to officiate NBA games because the players always think we're right and we never think that we're wrong. But I feel as though you can't just be kicking guys out just because you kind of cheat the fans, because the fans want to see the players play.
Yeah, that's quite the post-game presser there. Moving on to the Miami Heat losing to the Cavs in Miami. Strus, Oladipo, they had the ball at a couple of clutch minutes where it looked like maybe they could have turned things around, but 2 for 8 from 3, both of those guys. The Heat just kind of being inconsistent. How do you think they fix that inconsistency moving forward, Rip?
Well, I mean, it's going to be tough for them because they've been shooting the ball terribly from the three-point line all season long. Last year, they were number 1 in the NBA from three-point percentage, and now going to one of the worst. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest drop-off in a very, very long time. I just feel like the Miami Heat got to get back to what they've been doing. Defensively, they've still been pretty good. but I think their shooters got to be able to knock down shots. They got to put the ball in Jimmy Butler's hands for him to make plays for other guys, because I think he's the only guy on his roster that can make plays for his teammates and get guys easy baskets. Kyle Lowry, man, he's just aging by the day. They brought him in to actually free the shooters up to get easy opportunities out there on the three-point from the perimeter. But when you got guys like Duncan Robinson, a guy that can't even get off the bench, but was huge for them making a Eastern Conference run a few years ago, that now he can't even play. And then you got guys like Martin that's not knocking down three-point shots. Tyler Hero percentage went down also. They got to get back to the basics. They got to get in the gym and just keep shooting, because this is a team that we all thought that would be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and now they're falling by the wayside, even though they added a guy like Kevin Love and Zeller to their roster. They're just not a good offensive team right now.
Yeah, Jimmy with 28 points last night, still not enough. The Heat are now 7th in the East. Let's talk about the Warriors and their struggles on the road just continuing. They're 7-25. That's their record on the road. 27-7 at home. They're heading to the FedEx Forum, taking on the Grizzlies next. Rip, we keep talking about get-right games for the Warriors. I feel like that was last week. What do they have to do to actually have a get-right game?
Well, they got to get better defensively. I think that's the big thing, especially when you look at their defense efficiency at home. They're third best team in the league, but when you look at them on the road, they're the third worst. So I think this is all about just focus. I mean, I'm not worried a whole lot about the Warriors because they got championship pedigree. They understand that they're only going to get judged what they do in the playoffs, but they got to focus in and they got to lock in a little bit more defensively. I think that when you watch them on the road, they're a little inconsistent on their rotations, guys getting to help spots on the floor. They turn the ball over a lot. They give teams opportunities to get in transition, to get easy baskets. But I feel as though they're going to get going. I mean, they understand what they have to do and how they got to finish out the season. But it's all about their defense, getting back to their defensive principles especially on the road.
Warriors, they're 5th in the West. The Pelicans, they're 10th. They're just fighting to stay alive in the postseason. We know Zion's going to be out for another 2 weeks with that hamstring injury. What adjustments do you think the Pelicans need to make without Zion to ensure that they're going to have a playoff spot?
Well, they have to get healthy. Not having Zion, we don't know if he's going to come back for the regular season. And then Brandon Ingram, went out last night with the ankle sprain. So, man, they got to stay healthy. This was also a team that we thought that at the beginning of the year they could be one of the top teams in the Western Conference just because they were a great young team. They had length. They got in transition. They can defend. They know how to play off each other. But I just feel as though they have to get healthy. And then you look at C.J. McCollum, who had a big game last game, but, you know, he still got a splint on his hand. So this is a team that I feel as though when they're healthy, they're one of the better teams in the Western Conference. But if they're not healthy, this team can easily get an early exit, especially in the playoff.
All right, that is Rip Hamilton joining us here on CBS Sports HQ to talk about KD and other news around the NBA. Thank you so much, Rip. We appreciate it. And we have plenty of action on the hardwood tonight. Here are some of the NBA games. Warriors and the Grizzlies, that's at 7:30 Eastern. The Nets and the Bucks heavy double-digit favorites in that matchup. And then the Knicks and the Kings at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.